Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment that you have already won. Everything you have been striving for, yearning for, hoping for has already been given to you. No longer do you need to chase, to struggle, or to cling to the fleeting and transient nature of life. What if the very act of detaching from your attachments, from the race that keeps you in perpetual motion, was the key to experiencing a more profound and fulfilling life? It's so easy to fall into the trap of believing that life is a pursuit of success, recognition, love, and validation. We carry around these desires, thinking that once we have them, we will be fulfilled. But what if I told you that the very act of chasing these things is what's keeping you from living freely? What if I told you that in this very moment, everything you've been seeking is already within you, waiting to be discovered, if only you were willing to detach from the illusion of lack? I invite you to listen, not just to the words I'm speaking, but to the truth beneath them. We are conditioned to believe that life is something to be controlled, something to be conquered. But the truth is, the moment we let go of this need to control, we allow life to show us its richness, its beauty, and its perfection. This talk is not just a mere reflection on detachment, it is an invitation to experience life in its fullest, to live like you have already won. Now, I'm not speaking of detachment as a means of withdrawing from life. Quite the opposite. Detachment is about living fully without the emotional chains that bind you to a future that has yet to arrive. It is the realization that you are whole, complete, and perfect just as you are. And when you live with this understanding, you cease to live in the anxiety of not having enough or not being enough. You begin to live with ease and grace, embracing each moment as it comes. The question then becomes, what would life look like if you were no longer attached to the outcomes, to the need for approval, to the relentless race forward? I ask you to consider this. What would it feel like to live as though you have already won? To move through life not as someone striving for something, but as someone who already embodies the peace, the success, and the fulfillment they seek. Stay with me, for in this exploration we'll unravel the myth that you are not enough as you are. We'll free ourselves from the unnecessary struggle and open ourselves to a life of abundant joy and effortless flow. You are already whole. You are already everything you need to be. The only thing left is for you to stop chasing it, to stop clinging, and to simply live as you are already victorious. We often approach life with the mindset that we need to control it, shape it, or steer it in a specific direction. From a young age, we're taught that success is something to be earned, a goal to be reached, a race to be won. We chase after outcomes, believing that once we achieve them, we will finally be content. But this very approach to life creates a sense of tension, as if we're always fighting against something, always pushing toward the next milestone, and never truly living in the present moment. It's easy to become obsessed with control, to think that if we just work hard enough, if we just plan and prepare enough, we can craft our lives into exactly what we envision. However, in doing so, we forget that life is constantly in motion, unpredictable, and far beyond the boundaries of our conscious control. When we try to control life, we often resist its flow. We get frustrated when things don't go according to our plans, when things don't unfold in the way we expect. We try to manipulate circumstances to match our desires, but in doing so, we miss out on the richness of life as it is happening in front of us. The very notion that life is something to be controlled keeps us stuck in the illusion that we need to fix it or make it perfect. In reality, life is meant to be experienced, to be embraced in all its unpredictability and imperfection. When we detach from the need to control every moment, we open ourselves up to something much greater, the freedom to simply be. Instead of constantly striving and struggling, we begin to flow with life, allowing it to unfold naturally, without resistance or fear. Attachment to outcomes is one of the most powerful forces that shapes our lives. It's the belief that we must cling to certain things, achievements, or relationships in order to feel whole or validated. From early childhood, we are conditioned to believe that success equals happiness, and that we must attach ourselves to particular goals, desires, or material possessions in order to feel fulfilled. We attach our sense of self-worth to these external markers of success, thinking that they will provide us with the satisfaction we long for. But the truth is, attachment only leads to frustration, anxiety, and suffering. When we become attached to a specific outcome, we create an expectation of how things should be. And when life doesn't align with that expectation, we experience disappointment, anger, or despair. The moment we believe that our happiness is dependent on something outside ourselves, we lose our sense of inner peace. Attachment keeps us bound to the past, to memories of what we have already experienced or what we have lost. It prevents us from fully embracing the present moment because we're always looking to the future or dwelling on the past. We start to see life as a means to an end, rather than as a rich experience to be lived in its fullness. When we let go of attachment, we free ourselves from this constant cycle of striving and yearning. We begin to recognize that happiness is not something that can be attained through external possessions or achievements. It is something that arises naturally when we stop holding on to the illusion that we need anything to be complete. Letting go of attachment allows us to experience life more deeply and authentically. Imagine just for a moment that you have already won. There is no need to chase after something that will complete you, because everything you need is already within you. We live in a world where success is often defined by what we have or what we achieve. We are conditioned to believe that the pinnacle of life is reaching a particular goal, gaining recognition, or accumulating material wealth. But what if all of that were irrelevant? What if, in this very moment, you were already everything you need to be, and there was nothing more you had to prove? This is the essence of living, as though you've already won, not in the sense of arrogance or complacency, but in recognizing that life itself is not a race. The idea that you need to strive for something outside of yourself, to chase after an elusive ideal of success, only perpetuates a sense of scarcity and lack. We become trapped in a cycle of seeking, constantly believing that once we attain certain things, we will finally feel fulfilled. But the truth is, the moment you realize you are already complete, already whole, everything changes. The pressure to prove yourself evaporates, and in its place there is the freedom to simply live, to experience life without the weight of constant striving. When you live with this mindset, you shift from pursuing external validation to embracing internal peace. You begin to see that the race was never real to begin with. It was merely an illusion. In this space, you live with joy, with gratitude, with the understanding that the victory was never about the finish line. It was about the realization that you were whole from the start. Life is not about efforting your way to success, not about forcing things into place through sheer willpower. We often think that the more we struggle, the more we work, the more we strive, the closer we get to our desires. We equate effort with achievement, believing that success is directly proportional to how hard we try. But what if the opposite were true? What if the key to living a fulfilling life was to stop struggling so much, to release the need to constantly push against the current, and instead allow life to unfold naturally? When we detach from the belief that success requires constant effort, we begin to understand the beauty of living with ease. This doesn't mean we stop working toward our goals or stop caring about what we do. Rather, it means we stop fighting against the flow of life. It means we no longer see ourselves as separate from the world around us, as if we have to control every aspect of our lives to make things work. Instead, we surrender to the present moment, trusting that life will guide us where we need to go. In doing so, we become attuned to the natural rhythms of life, finding a sense of grace in even the most challenging circumstances. This shift from effort to ease is not about passivity, it's about recognizing that there is a balance between action and surrender. The moment we stop forcing things into existence, we allow space for them to arise effortlessly. Life becomes a dance, not a battle, and through this surrender we experience a deeper connection to ourselves and the world around us. Detachment is often misunderstood as withdrawal or disengagement, but in truth, it is about a deeper level of engagement with life, not less. Many think of detachment as a form of indifference, a way to detach emotionally from everything so that nothing affects us. However, this is far from the truth. Detachment is not about avoiding life or becoming emotionally numb. It's about fully participating in the moment without being emotionally chained to outcomes or expectations. We live in a world that teaches us to become attached to results, to cling to desires, and to base our happiness on achieving certain goals or obtaining certain things. But when we are attached, we give away our power. Our happiness, peace, and sense of well-being become dependent on external factors. The paradox of detachment is that by letting go of our need for things to unfold in a specific way, we are able to engage more deeply and fully with life as it is. We don't withdraw from our relationships, our work, or our passions. Rather, we engage with them without clinging, without grasping, without the expectation that things must be a certain way for us to feel fulfilled. This freedom allows us to be present, to savor each moment without the anxiety of needing to control it. Detachment is about recognizing that life's flow is unpredictable, and yet, in surrendering to it, we can experience a more profound sense of connection. We do not become less involved in the world, but more open to it, free from the grip of expectations, ready to experience life in its way. When we detach from the constant need to strive for more, we create the space to truly live in the present moment. Too often we are caught in a cycle of future-oriented thinking, always focused on what we need to accomplish next or what we lack. Our minds are so occupied with these thoughts that we forget to appreciate the life we already have, the richness that exists in the now. By detaching from the constant push for more, we open ourselves to the present, and in doing so, we become more aware of the beauty and abundance already around us. The present moment is the only time we truly have. Yet how often do we ignore it, lost in thoughts of what could be or what should have been? Detaching from this constant yearning to improve or get ahead allows us to step back and simply experience life as it is, without judgment, without attachment to any outcome. This shift in perspective doesn't mean we stop pursuing goals or growing as individuals. Instead, it means we stop measuring our worth by future achievements or external validations. We start to realize that life is not something we need to get through to reach the next phase, but something to be fully experienced right now. By embracing the present moment, we discover that joy is not something to be achieved or found in the future, but something that resides within us in every moment. In the space of detachment, we find peace, clarity, and the freedom to truly experience life. In conclusion, the journey of detachment is not about giving up on life or retreating from the world. It is about embracing life more fully, without the burden of attachment. When we let go of our need to control, to strive, and to cling to outcomes, we allow ourselves to experience the present moment in all its richness and beauty. Detachment frees us from the endless cycle of wanting, yearning, and chasing after things that we believe will complete us. It helps us realize that everything we need is already within us, and that we are already whole, already enough. The true victory lies not in accumulating more or achieving more, but in being present with what is. Living as though you've already won means living with peace, grace, and the understanding that life as it is enough. So as you move forward, remember that the key to freedom and fulfillment is not in the race towards some distant goal, but in the art of detaching from the need to control, to strive, and to expect. In doing so, you will find that life becomes a beautiful, effortless dance, where the present moment holds everything you could ever need.